Hey there to everyone who is reading. I am Luna and I am 27 years old, and let me start by saying I'm head over heels in love. George, my dashing husband, and I recently embarked on this exciting journey called marriage. And we are still in the honeymoon phase of it all. It has been a journey of multiple emotions, but let me not get ahead of myself. Let me take you back to how it all began. George and I, well, we're not your average couple. Yep, we are both from these high-flying, wealthy families that make it into the high-profile category in New York. But please do not mistake me for a spoiled rich brat. I've got a story to tell, and it's just not about extravagant galas and designer gowns. Our paths first crossed at a glittering charity ball. Imagine a grand ballroom adorned with chandeliers that could make stars jealous. Guests dressed to the nines in a tower of champagne. Let us just say it flowed like a river. George, my tall, dashing beau, caught my eye from across the room. It was like a fairy tale, seriously. We got to know each other and fell head over heels in love. We were very much like each other in many ways, but very different in others. For example, our families. When it came to how we have been raised, we are total opposites. My mom and dad, they have always been there for me, showering me with love, attention, and life advice. George's family, well, let us just say they speak a different language, and it's called money. George's nanny practically raised him, and his parents missed more milestones than I've had hot dinners. Now, do not get me wrong, I'm not one to judge here. If that's what works for them, who am I to say anything? We were in love, and love can overcome a lot, right? Fast forward to our engagement day. George, being the smooth operator he is, whisked me away on a private jet to a secluded island. Just imagine the sun setting, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. George with a ring down on one knee, and guess what? I said yes, like instantly. Our parents finally met, and it was like watching two worlds collide. At least they were polite to each other, if not genuinely friendly. Plans were made, and before we knew it, our wedding day was fast approaching. I had my fabulous bestie Cassie.
I was waiting for your call, Luna.
What on earth did you do, Diana? Are you completely out of your mind?
I did what I could to put a stop to this wedding.
You're absolutely crazy. Do you realize how mad George is going to be when he finds out about this?
George can't marry you, Luna. I will not allow it.
George is gonna marry me today, Diana. No matter what you do, nothing can change that.
This was just my first attempt, Luna. Be prepared.
You keep saying that, Diana, but it will not make a difference. I must have done something right for George to choose me.
I cannot believe he is marrying a woman like you.
We'll believe it, because it is happening today. Now if you will excuse me, I have a wedding to attend.
Despite Diana's ridiculous antics, nothing could ruin our joy. Our wedding was like a fairy tale. I mean, seriously, everything was so darn perfect. Flowers everywhere. George looking all dashing at the altar, and me walking down that aisle in a last-minute gown that I, to admit, still looked pretty darn amazing. My dad walked me down the aisle. George shed a few tears. Our vows, you wouldn't believe how heartfelt they were, promising a lifetime of mushy stuff like love, support, and being obsessed with each other. As we swapped rings, it hit me that this was the beginning of our epic adventure together. Then came the reception. This big fancy shindig with champagne flowing like there was no tomorrow. We danced, our friends and family gave the sweetest toasts, and the room was just bursting with love. After all the partying, George and I headed to our honeymoon suite. Alone at last, we could not help but grin like a couple of love-struck goofballs. We were officially married and it felt so darn good. We were going to go on our honeymoon a month later because George had some work commitments, and it was all fine by me. I had not told George about the trick his mom pulled. I wanted to deal with Diana when her little vacation was over. So there I was, a few days after our picture-perfect wedding. George was back at work dealing with his usual commitments. Meanwhile, I was chilling at home, soaking in that newlywed bliss. Life was pretty sweet. But then out of the blue, my phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID and of course it was Diana. Now that was one call I definitely hadn't seen coming.
Luna, honey, it is Diana. I have had a terrible mishap. I got pickpocketed here in Florence, of all places. I lost my passport. My friends have all flown out, and I am stuck here alone. Your dad is a diplomat here in Italy, right? He was talking about it at the rehearsal dinner. Can you help me, my dearest? We are all a family after all. I'm sure your dad can pull some strings.
What family, Diana? Diplomat or not, it does not change the fact that you made it pretty clear I'm not your family. Remember all those lovely things you said to me before our wedding?
Luna, please, I am desperate here. My friends have left me all alone to figure this out on my own. I promise I will make it up to you somehow. You know, I can be difficult, but I'm still George's mother and your mother-in-law. I love you as my own.
That is the sweetest lie I have ever heard. You are his mother, alright? Family does not treat each other the way you treated me. You missed our wedding for a silly fun trip that you take 6 times a year. Made an appearance at our rehearsal dinner just so you could steal my dress and ruin my wedding, and now you want my help when it is convenient for you. Sorry, Diana, but I am not feeling particularly charitable right now. I admit it, I have made mistakes, but you are the only one who can help me. I need to get back to New York. I have things to attend to. You are so selfish. You're not even genuinely sorry, I bet.
I'm sorry, Luna. I'm not helping you. Goodbye.
Just in case I forgot to mention, my dad is indeed a diplomat in Italy and I'm half Italian. I grew up in Rome, but moved to New York City for school, and ever since then, I have been here. But helping Diana? Nah, that was not on my cards. I was kind of anxious about George coming back because that would mean I had to tell him everything. As I sat in our living room, fidgeting with the hem of my dress, my mind raced. George was due home any minute, and I could not avoid the truth any longer. I knew he would not be mad at me, but at the same time I didn't know how he would be taking so much news since the wedding day all at once.
What is it, Luna?
Well, your mom, she was the one who stole my wedding dress. She admitted to it herself. The thing is, she doesn't like me. She did not want me to be a part of the family. It was right before the wedding and I was devastated. She just wanted to ruin everything for me.
Luna, I'm so sorry about my mom's behavior. That's just unacceptable. I can't believe she would do something like that. She tried to ruin it, not just for you, but for the both of us. Don't worry, babe. I'm gonna deal with this whenever she comes back.
There's something else, George.
What is it?
Your mom called me today. Her passport has been stolen, and she wanted to get here as soon as possible.
What did you say?
I'm sorry, George, but I could not say yes to help her. After what she did, it just didn't feel right.
You know what, Luna? She deserves it. I'm glad you did that. She can deal with her own problems no matter how much time it takes on her own. We're not helping her. She needs to learn her actions have consequences. We're not gonna bail her out.
After the whole drama, George and I finally got to enjoy our European honeymoon. We packed our bags and traveled across the continent, soaking in the sights and sounds of romantic cities. Paris, Venice, Rome, you name it, we were there making memories that would last a lifetime. And we even visited my parents in Rome. It was a sweet treat. One day, while sipping coffee at a cute cafe in Paris, we got a text from George's dad. But it was a message from Diana. She was texting from her husband's phone. She had a text from George's dad, but it was a message from Diana. She was texting from her husband's phone. She had miraculously made it back home after 2 months. Talk about good timing. George had a good laugh about it, and honestly, we could not care less. When we got back home, Diana tried to reach out, hoping for reconciliation. But George and I were like, thanks but no thanks. We stuck to our guns and focused on our own happiness. 4 months into our married life, and here we are, stronger than ever. George and I have become quite the dynamic duo. We have grown, cried, laughed, and supported each other through thick and thin. Our love story is not some fairy tale. It is real. It's messy and it's uniquely ours.